Since the early 19th century, when industry became the new American religion, hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Central and Eastern Europe set sail for America, chasing dreams of a better life, free from poverty and war. New York was the most important gateway to this brave new world. For the next 200 years, the wave of migration never ceased. If you could make it in New York, you could make it anywhere. Join us as we explore the stories of Polish immigrants who shaped the city and found their place in its ever-evolving landscape. Watch the Polish Tales.
Hi, my name is Alek, Alek Korab. I came to New York City in 2014. Before I was working in London. In London, I was heading a newswire, which was called Metro International, and we were connecting 400 journalists around the world in 17 countries. But at some point, I was going through divorce, and I thought I could use a change. And I always loved New York City, and I was here before many times, and I always liked the energy here. I feel like I belong here. And when I got a job offer to be head of a newspaper here, which is called also Metro, and I took it in no time. And I got the job. You know, I was in charge of newspaper. We had 3 branches, 3 offices. We had office in New York City, in Philadelphia, and Boston. And it was very, very challenging. The job was to basically to restructure the newspaper and to rebuild the newsroom and start to think more digital way. So we were printing newspapers every day. That was the biggest newspaper in New York City, one of the biggest in the US. We're like 4th largest newspaper in the US at the point. The change I had to do here, the job I had to do here was easy and difficult on 2 different levels. So one level was like, I'm very good at understanding how the news organizations work and to build the structures. I was working in newspapers since I was 18-year-old. I'm publishing articles since I'm 15. So I really instantly understand where we can cut, where we can do something better. And that part was very easy for me, like to understand what we should change to make newspaper healthy again. The culture problem was not that difficult because I came from England, when the cultural problem is much more different than in US. Americans are fantastic people, and they're easygoing, and they're very nice to work with, and they're very open-minded, and they're honest, unlike Brits. So that was easy. The most difficult part was, which I didn't know at the time, was that I was trying to cure terminal ill person, which was a newspaper, and that tree business. And what I didn't see at the moment was the smartphones that came to America quite later than in Europe, actually, but it came eventually. They call them cell phones here. And they eventually replaced newspapers in people's hand in the morning, and the way people got the news. So once I managed to restructure the newspaper, I realized the next year, when we came to budgeting, that we still have 20–30% less of advertisement, despite having costs right. And then another year, another 15–20% less in advertisement, which means every year we have to do 20–50% cost reduction from already what we have done before. I was just cutting and cutting. It was like so frustrating for me. And eventually I gave up. It was like too much for me. I was working all day and night, 24/7, which is quite normal here. And I was partying at night, I was working during the day. That was nice life, but exhausting as well. But when I understand that this model is not sustainable, I decided I have to change something. And I was very lucky. I got another offer from actually a British company, travel publisher. And they wanted to turn the book publishing into digital. That was e-commerce. That was basically selling job. I was suddenly a salesperson, which was something like I always thought I'm totally opposite. And I went to this digital conference in San Francisco, which really blew my mind. And I started to think differently since then. I stopped being a journalist. Everything is about selling, like about storytelling. You know, storytelling, if you're a good storyteller, you're a good journalist, you're a good writer, you are a good filmmaker, but you're also a good salesman. You just need to tell a story to sell something, you know, to your article or your car. And what I understood is how internet gives us good and more tools and more direct tools to do it. And I learned basically selling tools in internet. And I started with nothing. I think when the people who hired me, they realized I'm a journalist. I'm not a marketing guy. I think they were a little bit shocked. But I learned very, very quickly and very hard to sell travel packages. But eventually I decided to come back to Metro because at some point I understood, okay, I know how internet works now. So I can come back to Metro, to newspaper, and move them into digital direction. And I came back to Metro and I started to work for Metro again for another couple of years. We had some success. We really increased traffic like 4 times. But eventually it came back to the same problem. It was still connected to newspaper, still were not big enough to make enough money to survive, to be breaking even. And eventually I felt like I can't solve it working in a large organization, which was something I was doing all my life. And with my best friend, Michael, we decided we should probably do something on our own. Because I was so tired of complaining about my bosses and bosses of my bosses. And we created a media company. We call it Good Guys Media. And we started to work on our own. What is the worst in New York City right now is the usual. It's garbage, it's smell, it's the prices, the crazy prices. You can buy an espresso and it costs you like $25, you know. But everyone knows that. This is why Trump won elections. What I love about New York City is the sense of rebuilding itself. This city rebuilds itself, reinvents itself constantly. And the new buildings are being built in place of older buildings that are not that old actually. And the new ideas come, and a lot of them are bad ideas. A lot of them, they don't work, but people don't care about it. And they come up with new ideas. The sense of failure in US and especially New York City, that is something that it's good. You try, you fail, you try again. And that's part of America and American culture I really love. The Americans, they come up with ideas, they execute it and they fail, they brush, they close, and they come back with another idea. And if you meet someone who actually failed in here, you really respect that, you're interested in this person, in this failure, because you know you learn something, you try something. Where actually in other cultures, which I know, I saw a lot of them, in Britain, in Poland, in Europe, the failure is a stigma. If you failed, you're broken, you did something wrong, and people don't want to be around you. And you don't talk about it very much. And maybe it was connected because of my divorce. Maybe it was connected because I'm working in media, which is constantly failing. I feel this connection with the city and the country. I always feel like an outsider, which is normal for me because I left Poland almost 20 years ago. And everywhere I go, I was from somewhere else, especially in England when my accent was just different. And the Brits would let you know about it all the time, constantly. How do I feel in here? I feel I belong here. I feel I'm making money. I'm giving a job to people, and Americans like that, they respect that. So I feel American in this way. And every American has some roots. They have parents, grandparents, everyone is different here. So it's normal to be different. And it's normal to be a little bit outsider. That's what creates this country together. My plans for my future are very American. Is to work very hard to make money, then to work much harder to make more money, and then to die. That's American dream. And this is how it works here. And that's my plan. But to be more precise, I work in digital space, in digital media, and it's very, very challenging time. And I have to reinvent myself. I have to find new ways of making money. Selling words, selling story ideas. But once I would do that, I'll be rich. Do I think if I die in America? I hope not, because the health industry here is just terrible. And it's disgrace what is going on. And so I hope I will retire somewhere nice, like in Poland or in Caribbeans. But it can happen, right? It can happen, and I don't think about dying right now. I think about working harder.